Hi, Dom. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing good, Mike. How was your Christmas?
Very good. Very, very good. How about yours?
Uh, Fantastic.
Nice.
Lots of people over. It was a good day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did visiting and I hung out with friends, very good friends like family and we had a good time. It was pretty relaxing, so ready to get back to work and back
Back
to
to the
videos.
work of movies.
Yes, the work of movies, which has never worked for me. It's always fun. And hey, this one's my pick, for better or worse. This is my actually my one for New Year's, really. It kind of goes over Christmas and New Year's, but mostly Christmas. And so for better or worse, this one's my pick. And if you want to give the intro,
I will.
I
I
will
will
turn that over
today.
to you.
Today we are discussing the beloved classic 1989 rom-com When Harry Met Sally, and it did indeed change rom-coms forever.
Yeah. Yeah, as the background of mine says. Uh,
So one of the groundbreaking things about this essentially has no plot.
no, no, no.
The central to the movie is the question, can men and women ever be just friends?
Right.
And so you see behind me Harry and Sally,
Yeah.
and they met in college while they were dating other people, knew each other very peripherally, and they sort of made an agreement to be friends.
Yeah. Yep.
And the movie follows them through, like I want to say a 12-year time period from like I think they meet in 77 when
Yeah. 77. And she's got the Farrah hairdo and
that hair was styled specifically uh to look like Farrah's hair.
yeah. Well, it did. It
They
did. They
did a
were
great job.
well, they did because that hairstyle was popular, and women were going into hair salons and they were asking, "Oh, can you make my hair look just like Farrah's?" And what they didn't even realize, it was actually a really hard hairstyle to do. I remember reading some articles about it. They were saying that like when Farrah did photo shoots or she would do even the show, she actually a lot of times had like inserts like plastic or cardboard behind the hair to hold it up and make it look like and it wasn't even practical to wear out like for most women, but they were trying it.
It was the most popular hairstyle of 1977.
Yeah, yep. I mean, in one form or another, there were tons of women that had some kind of facsimile of that hairstyle. So yeah, but yeah. So I have to ask you, you and did you and Lisa both watched it?
We both watched it.
And
Yep.
what were the opinions of both of you?
Well, I mean, she likes it. Her opinions on movies are never that pronounced. You know, you either
Right.
like a movie or you don't.
Yeah.
She's not as into movies as we are.
Right. Right. Well,
Um,
we're real movie geeks and buffs. So
I hate to say it, but I was disappointed.
right. Right.
This is the first time I've seen it.
Yep.
It is much celebrated. Like I've been hearing about this movie for almost as long as I've been into movies.
Right.
And it's just so well regarded. It's so well reviewed that my expectations were way too high.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it was a good movie,
yeah.
but it wasn't like it didn't move me.
Yeah. Um, well, yeah, and I don't know that moving you is probably the right term for this movie, in the sense of most of the movie is it's a comedy. It's very much a Billy Crystal comedy where
Hmm.
his style of comedy drives. Uh,
Actually, you can associate Billy Crystal's name with this because he's in it.
yeah,
You know what this is?
it's a
This is
Woody
a
Allen.
Woody Allen
It's
movie.
a Woody Allen movie. Oh,
Like
absolutely.
as I'm watching it, it's just
Yeah.
screaming at me. This is a
Well,
Woody Allen movie.
yeah. This was Rob Reiner's attempt at a Woody Allen film.
No, Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron.
Yes. Well, she wrote the script, and that was one of the things because I didn't do much to we our last video was cut short. We were really having internet problems. I
We
think it
had
was my
technical
end.
difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties. So anyone who watched the last one, sorry, it really got cut short because we were having trouble. Anyone that watched it, you would have seen it was freezing a lot, and that was it was. I kind of brought that one to an end quick, just because it wasn't. I could tell. I mean, it was Dom, you were freezing. I know you were saying me freezing, and so I don't know what the audience saw. I couldn't even bring myself to watch it. I
Yeah,
just
so if you're an audience member, you tried to watch the video, our
Yeah, so
apologies.
our apologies, yeah. But yeah, so on to this one. And I've been staying with friends. I just got back to my place in my area, and I'm on my own internet connection. Hopefully that goes quite a bit better. But anyway, yeah. As far as like research, I didn't do anything much to speak of. And other than getting on here and having just rewatched it again after quite a few years, um, I'm looking at it in a new perspective again. And I I love the movie. I definitely see it as um, a Billy Crystal driven comedy. Yes,
Mhm.
Woody Allen. It's absolutely the type of dialogue, the type of friendships. Even everything is very much New York. Friendships and living and uh, it's such a New York, Manhattan, you know, style of film. But the funny part is one of the things that I did look at was a woman who was critiquing the movie from like today's standpoint and looking at Billy Crystal and basically saying he was an awful person the way he felt and talked about women and stuff like that. And my feeling is, first of all, I don't know that men and women are really that honest with each other. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I don't know whether they're totally honest with each other about how, especially when they're testing the waters of relationships. But this movie was written by a woman. It was not
Mhm.
written by a man. And Billy Crystal's lines, everything, it was written by uh, a woman. And so, yes, I think he was realistic in a lot of ways about, especially when they first met, he was very young. And so, even though he's dating her friend, while they're on the drive, there's a point where he kind of tests it out a little bit and he kind of hits on her. So, but he had a college relationship going. It wasn't like they were getting ready to get married.
Yeah, they weren't engaged or anything.
No. And so, he just kind of playfully did a tease uh, about, just to test the waters and see whether she was interested. And she looks right at him and she's like, "You're hitting on me? Like I'm dating your friend." Or I'm dating, you're dating my friend. And so, but like I said, the woman that was reviewing it, she was kind of like just looking at Billy Crystal like, oh, he's just the bad guy. And this was one of the scenes that, when they do finally sleep together, Billy Crystal's laying in bed with the slip in his face, like, and you could perfectly understand why both of them would react the way they did because, I mean, she woke up kind of in bliss, like thinking, oh, this has actually turned out to be something great. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized, like, wow, what did we do? And he immediately was like, oh no, like we screwed up our friendship, and this is like really
But
bad. And
I can totally criticize Billy Crystal. The
well,
criticism isn't that he hit on her. The criticism is that he hit on her poorly.
yeah, well,
She was
yes,
just freaking annoying.
yes.
I wanted to strangle him. I'm
Well,
like, dude, you can do better than this.
yeah. Well, his character, one of the things you really have to understand, his character does grow over time. He gets
Mhm.
better. When he starts out, he's a very young college guy. And he's like probably a lot of younger guys. They're, guys tend to probably explore the water a soda woman nowadays, but I mean, but they're definitely, looking all around. It's like there's too much available, and they're inexperienced, and they just want to experience everything. So so yeah, like I said, I think for college age kids, because that's what they are, they're still kids when they're in college, and so I think for a lot of times you don't necessarily behave as good as you hopefully do when you've learned a thing or two. And they really hadn't at that point. And he was much worse than her. He was a jerk. So I
The,
mean, let's face it.
some of the early videos we did on movies that I chose,
Yes.
your criticism was that you couldn't stand the people, you couldn't stand being around the
Yeah.
people that were in
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
And for the first part of that movie,
Right.
that was Harry and Sally for me. I could
Right.
not stand them.
Well, Billy Crystal made me laugh, and because he made me laugh, I didn't have a problem. As far as like Meg Ryan, I've always thought she was very cute. I remember seeing her in some early roles. She was on a soap opera, and I remember I wasn't a soap opera watcher, but I do remember, catching her on. I think it was As the World Turns or something like that. But she was one of those ones. But she was on one, and I remember like I caught her, on the show. Like, you'd be home and you're sick or whatever, and you're just flipping through channels. There's nothing on back then, and so you go through, and there she is on a soap opera, and she was cute and all that, and so I all of a sudden she started popping up in film, and I have she's known a lot for comedy. She has done some, like, what was it, Flesh and Bone or something like that, that she was in with Dennis Quaid, I believe, but
Her
her
husband.
paramour. Yeah. But no, like, I always kind of thought of her a little bit as a one-trick pony. She's mostly rom-com, and I don't always think she's that good in rom-com. And she had a lot of good moments in this one. This is probably her best rom-com, but I also think some of the moments weren't. I felt like she was barely pulling it off, and if Billy Crystal hadn't been doing some of the comedy that he was doing, I don't think the scenes would have worked.
He was by far the star.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the times there's a scene where they're talking, and she's kind of like, she's in a real blue mood. She calls him over. She just wants somebody to talk to and hang out with, and she's crying and just talking and stuff. And I was thinking to myself, man, if he wasn't in there doing some of the comedy, because she was overdoing it really bad, and and I just saw that in certain scenes where she would just overplay it, and it's like, you know, wow, she just, I don't think she's got the chops to do, some of the, she's not Jane Fonda. She's not, there's a lot of actresses I could pull up that, it's like, she's not Meryl Streep either. She is what she is, and she can do certain things well, but I don't think, she's great. And as far as this role, yeah, she could be a little annoying in some scenes, but she can be sweet and funny too. This is one of the scenes where I felt like she kind of like, this was overdone. There were so many women that talked about this scene, about, but like, this was like this was an it was an orgasm that you see in a porno movie. It's, I just haven't seen, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen too many, and especially when she started doing she was slamming her hand on the table and stuff, and I thought, oh, come on, this is something she saw in a porno movie. That's not the way. She doesn't come like that. So, but anyway,
No,
like I
but
said,
whatever you say,
yeah,
that is the most famous scene
it
in the
is.
entire movie.
Oh yeah, people love it, and they love the line, "I'll have what she's having," which is the woman behind you.
Do you know
Um,
who that is?
I know the face. I couldn't think of. I couldn't think of. You've got her up there, and I know that face. Who is she?
That's Rob Reiner's mom.
Really?
That's
Really? Well, I guess
Estelle
I don't know
Reiner.
the face then. Okay. Wow. What's her name?
Estelle.
Okay. Yeah, I actually didn't know who that was. I thought I did. The face looks very familiar, but and not just from that scene.
And that line, so
Yeah,
so that scene was almost all Meg Ryan.
right.
She came up with the idea. She did it. She came up with the idea to do it in a restaurant. Estelle's line, I'll have what she's having, that was Billy Crystal.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
that he was such a good comedian back then.
Oh,
He was
really good.
he was really funny, and I mean, he played in a few different movies that he really managed to movies that otherwise would have failed if it hadn't been for him in the movie. But very talented. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden he wasn't doing movies anymore. But yeah, like I said, I definitely liked his comedy. Um, yeah, you're bringing this up and talking about Woody Allen. Um, man, it was almost like Woody Allen probably could have sued him, sued Rob Reiner for this movie because it's like, well, you stole all my shit.
They out Woody Allen.
Yeah, yeah.
Between the movie, the dialogue, Billy Crystal himself was a better Woody Allen than Woody
Oh
Allen.
my God, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yes, he was. I mean, it's so Woody Allen that if you showed this to somebody and they didn't know it, and you told them, yeah, this was a Woody Allen movie, I probably a lot of people would just go, yeah, and say, yeah, it's a good Woody Allen movie. But but yeah, it's so blatant. I mean, I was watching it myself, just rewatching it, and I was sitting there thinking, man, because I've always noticed that, but like it was really kicking in watching it this last time. I was
We're
like,
halfway through the movie. I turned to Lisa. I'm like, this is a Woody Allen
yeah,
movie.
yeah, yep, absolutely. No, you're totally right on that. But
Mm. Before I leave this scene from
yeah,
Cat's Delicatessen,
yes,
one bit of trivia I did learn that I thought was hilarious, and I will be looking for video of this.
okay,
But in 2013, an improv group in New York City called Improv Everywhere
yeah.
went into Cat's Deli, and they had one couple that looked like Harry and Sally. They tried to recreate the look,
That's
sit
great.
in that table, and
Wow.
everyone knows where that table is because Cat's Deli has a plaque above that table
Wow, really?
that
That's
says
great.
this is where it happened.
Yeah. Wow, I did
And
not know
so
that. That's
and
great.
so not only did that couple sit there, but some of the other members of the improv group loaded the restaurant. So at a certain time, that couple started reenacting that scene,
Wow,
like
that is
very
great.
loudly and very publicly. But halfway through, all the other people started reenacting it as well, as if it was contagious and spreading outward.
Wow, so everybody's having an orgasm.
Staff didn't know, other customers didn't know. This was a total surprise thing. And
Wow.
I love that that happened.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's too bad they didn't get it on video because that's
And
hysterical.
that's what I'm going to go look for. I'm
Yeah.
going to see
If
if someone got that on video
Well,
because
you would think that
13.
somebody would have, you would think that that would be on film, on video, something. But yeah, if you could see if you can find it, and if you can post a link to that, that would be
Oh, totally.
incredible. That's a great piece of trivia there, Dom. But yeah, like I said, I think talking about the as far as like the movie, I don't know how you termed it now, but you were saying it didn't really move you. And I wouldn't say like the movie was like incredibly moving throughout, because I think the first part is mostly comedy. And I don't know that Woody Allen movies always move me. It's just and it's very much a Woody Allen movie.
Yeah, but I don't think I've never heard anyone describe a Woody Allen movie as a rom-com. They're all comedies.
Well, they are rom-coms. Annie
They've got
Hall,
romantic elements, but
Annie
again,
Hall. Come on, man, Annie
if if
Hall.
if you when I went
Annie
into
Hall.
when I went into a video rental store
Yeah,
and I'm asking what section Woody Allen movies are in, they will point to the comedy
they
section.
will,
If I ask for a rom-com, they will point to a different section.
I know, but I can tell you right now, a lot of people would agree with me in the Annie Hall and what's the one with Woody Allen and it's Annie Hall again. It's Diane Keaton. They're she's married and he's single. He's broken up. She keeps trying to match him up with people. That's another one. It's the Casablanca takeoff on that one with
I know I've seen it, but it
there's a
has been
Humphrey
so
Bogart.
long since
I
I've
can't even
seen
think.
any.
But that's another one. There's so many Woody Allen ones that have that romance thing going, and it's usually like two people that aren't together, or they get together but they fall apart.
And that's the thing. You're absolutely right. Those don't move me at all. You know
Yeah.
what moved me? Nora Ephron's later film, My Blue Heaven.
Oh, that's a great movie. Yeah, that's a
Great
terrific movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Kind of dumb. Not the
Yeah.
best movie in the world,
But
but
a good movie.
you want those people to fall in love with each other,
Yeah.
and it brings you this inner joy.
Yeah, but don't tell me though that at the end of because the whole thing with this movie when Harry Met Sally, the whole thing about it, and I think especially for the female members that are or not members, but the female audience people that are listening, um, hopefully, well, I mean, one of the things that if they love this movie, it's that beautiful scene at the end of this movie when they finally, I mean, they've kind of known that they've been in love for a long time, but they just couldn't get it together. And so at the end of the movie, there's that epiphany. It's they all of a sudden it's he does and there's always that scene where somebody's running to the other person and he does the run. I don't know how he wasn't drenched in sweat when he came in there. He ran for like what about 10 blocks, city
Oh,
blocks.
it was insane.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was really running.
I'm thinking I'm not in horrible shape. I couldn't make that
Well,
run.
yeah, I was gonna say anybody that came in there, he was wearing like sweats, and when he came in, that thing would have just been soaked. His face would have run. She wouldn't have even wanted to kiss him, but of course they couldn't do that for a romance scene.
So
But
here's another thing. That end scene was beautiful. It almost didn't exist.
well, yeah, go ahead and tell.
The original end of this movie was for them to go apart.
Wow, wow, that would have been awful.
And you know what changed it? During the making of the movie, Rob Reiner met his future wife.
Wow. Yeah, because he had
And
broken up. That was part of the inspiration for this one. He had
right.
broken up, and Nora Ephron actually had interviewed him, and she was like, "Wow, he's Billy Crystal," and so she kind of wrote him as Billy Crystal, and of course Billy Crystal I guess added a lot of his own dialogue to the movie, which makes sense, which made it his style of comedy too. But yeah, she based Sally on herself and her friends,
Mhm.
and that's how the whole thing got written. But I mean, yeah, him and Penny Marshall had I thought, a pretty good marriage for a long time. But Penny Marshall had, from what I understand, I think she had a few issues with like, especially as she got older. I know she turned into something of a hoarder. So
Hmm.
apparently she was doing a lot of buying on eBay, and her friends had to intervene and say like, Penny, you have to stop. This has gotten to be too much. They kind of did an intervention, and they actually helped her to sell off a lot of the items that she had bought to get rid of them. But yeah, so I don't know if that was something that had to do with it or what, but because she had been directing, she had been doing a lot of stuff, and I think she just, whether it was, getting older, whether it was the pack rat thing or whatever it was, but her career went, into some kind of, some kind of dormant stage, and all of a sudden she was just just doing collecting, whatever.
Mhm.
So I don't know, maybe that had something to do with the breakup, or who knows. But yeah, that was, I thought they had a good marriage when I had heard they were together. I thought, okay, that kind of looks like a couple that would fit, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, they were together for quite some, they were together for longer than the average marriage lasts these days.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And like I said, their personalities seemed like they were probably well suited. It didn't it just kind of surprised me that when they broke up. But yeah, you could see where probably he was a mess after the breakup, and Nora Ephron got that and thought to herself, "Wow, this is this character I could write about." And but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how much of it was her writing and copying Woody Allen's style of writing, or whether it was the two of them when they came together to make the film. But yes, they absolutely
So
Woody Allen it up.
these scenes were genius. I did really love these scenes.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a huge part of the appeal of this movie to me, was was the couples talking. I thought that was really cute. Now, did you do any research on that? Because I kind of wondered how much they were authentic, or whether it was
So what they did is during the filming,
yeah.
oh, I forget who would do that. I think it was Rob Reiner who would interview certain married couples on the production crew.
Right.
And he would record these stories and pick the ones he liked. And then he would hire actors to reenact that interview.
Okay.
So
Okay, that
these
makes
aren't real
sense.
people. These are actors.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the dialogue is real.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I always wondered it. It always seemed like it just seemed like something that um, kind of rang authentic, and yet I thought, nah, this has got to be like, just actors, doing this in a, you know, in a, in a, I don't know. Like I said, I was kind of hoping it was real, so at least it's half real.
Yeah, it's pseudo real.
Yeah, pseudo real. It's Hollywood real.
Exactly.
You
That's a
know, like
perfect way to put it.
well, when you see a movie start, and in the old days when you saw a movie start and it said based on real events, or this, or telling you it's a real story, and you think, oh wow, that's a real story. Nowadays, this based on true events, um, there's so many movies where they all they do is they bring like four or five movies together, or four or five different stories, and they mesh them together, and it's like, yeah, based on real events. And if you have just an inkling of truth, it's enough to say
There's a
based on
lot of
real events.
artistic license that goes
Yes,
into it.
very, very much so. Yes.
It's funny when I started hearing about like I don't know, some years ago, these biopics became big. There was the one on Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
There's one coming out on Bob Dylan. There was one on Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And when I started finding out how little truth there was
Oh, yeah.
to a
Yeah.
lot of these things,
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping the Bob Dylan one has a little more truth in it, but you, it's never
I,
really
I gotta
truthful.
say, I did not think much of Timothy Chalamet
Yeah.
when I first saw him. He does a great Dylan.
Well, I haven't heard him really talking in this one.
I've heard him talk and sing.
Yeah, really. Yeah, because, well, there's times where because all I've seen is trailer spots for the movie, and there's times where I'm looking at it and I think, okay, that looks like Dylan. Okay, that doesn't. Okay, that looks like Dylan. You go kind of back and forth, and so he goes in and out of looking like Dylan. But I'm just hoping he can pull it off for a full movie.
I'm actually thinking about going to see that at the theater.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
interested.
I'm a huge Dylan fan. I love his music. I love the man and what he's accomplished over the years, and just the very fact that being Bob Dylan ain't easy. You know, I mean, people look at him like he's got some kind of a god or something, and he's just a man, and one hell of a songwriter, one hell of a poet, and but it must be hard living in his shoes, and people are always looking for him to say something godlike when he's in an interview or something, and it's like, really, come on.
Okay,
There's
but enough digression.
enough of that. Yeah,
I'm gonna pull it back because I want to talk about this scene behind me.
yeah. Oh, yeah, the one right after they sleep with each other, and they both call their mutual friends.
Yeah,
to,
and so you've got this split screen.
yeah,
You've got Billy Crystal talking to his friend. Um,
this is
where is
also
it?
this is also a very much from a Woody Allen movie. They've done this in Woody Allen movies a lot, but keep going.
Billy Crystal Harry is
Yeah,
talking to his friend Jess,
yeah,
and at the very same time, Sally is talking to her friend Marie.
and of course those two are married. Yeah.
They did this on the same sound set.
Oh, really?
So they're on the same set, but they're separated.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like, three different studios, but this was all done at the same time
Damn.
because
Yeah.
they were doing this with no cuts.
Wow.
And so they had to repeat this over 60 times.
Really? Really?
Rob Reiner was saying that during the filming, like during like the 50 somethingth take,
Yeah.
they're all doing this and it's going perfectly. And then the very last line, that guy, Jess,
Yeah.
messes up and they had to do it all over again.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Damn.
But
Damn.
the way
Yeah.
they're describing it, this was one of the most complex scenes in
Yeah.
the entire movie.
Well, I can see, I could, if that was filmed that way, and actually that's kind of cool that it was filmed that way, but, but yeah, you can understand it would be hard, especially with the actors not being able to see each other and and know what's going on, and just, yeah, you're trying to just imagine you're talking to one person and maybe hearing something in the background. So yeah, I think that would be that would be a hard one to do.
Oh, and
um,
that
to tell you
that
the truth,
reminds
for
me.
Carrie Fisher and him, I would think that it would be even harder for them because they're both trying to play off of two other people and
Mhm.
each other right there. So, but yeah,
But yeah, this reminds me the orgasm scene in Cat's Deli,
yeah,
60 takes.
wow, really,
Can you imagine like you say what you want, Meg Ryan,
yeah,
but being able to keep that energy up for 60 freaking takes?
yeah, absolutely, and that's another thing is I don't know how you can possibly simulate an orgasm for that long because
No.
because it's like, bad enough. It's bad enough trying to do it the one time in bed, but to try to do that on a set over and over and over again, that's crazy. So yeah, I guess I got to give her props for for the fact that she did that, because I don't know, like I said, I kind of felt like there were parts of that scene that I thought worked, and there were also parts of it I thought, okay, it's being overdone here. And when you saw her doing like the first part of it, I was thinking, okay, she's pulling it off, and then as it went along, it was like it got bigger and bigger and bigger, as the climax came, and by then it was like, okay, now it's being overdone. It's like, this is like a porno movie scene or something. So
It's funny that you said that. One of the trivia things that I came across was in test viewing,
yeah,
that scene consistently got laughs from women,
wow, wow.
consistently did not get laughs from men.
Well, I thought it was funny. I'm a dude. I thought it was funny. And hey, uh, I'm old enough to know that sometimes when you I think guys a lot of times we think we're we think we're excelling sometimes when we're not, or vice versa. But but no,
Yeah, all I can say is if I'm with a woman that even likes me enough to fake it,
yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm
pretty.
happy. You know, you take what you can get. But no, and I've believe me, I've heard women say all kinds of reasons for faking it. Everything from just the idea that maybe the guy's going on too long, and they're like, okay, let's wrap this up.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So whatever it is, there's all kinds of reasons for someone, maybe making it bigger than what it is. And by the way, this scene right here where he's got the grapes, that was one of my favorite scenes where he tries to spit out the one. And this is a good example of how in the beginning he was much cruder
Oh,
because
so crude. That was
he's so
disgusting.
yeah, he's a young college dude, and he's a lot cruder, and he becomes more sophisticated as time goes on. He becomes more sensitive. He has more relationships. He has a marriage that he actually is really broken up about when it ends. I mean, he grows, and he has a lot of uh, relationships that shape him, and Sally's shaping him too, because as they're going along and they're talking and becoming such good friends, um, and that's another thing. The whole thing about can men and women become friends. When I was younger, you probably would have gotten a very different answer out of me than when I'm at my age now. Um, but because I would have, and I have argued that men and women really kind of can't be friends if they're attracted to each other, which is what Billy Crystal said. And the other thing is, if a guy falls into the friendship mode, it's real hard to get out of. Because once a woman considers the guy the friend, it's not going anywhere unless right from the beginning there was something. That's real hard to change that, in my point of view. But yeah, like I said, I do think that's a hard thing because he was right in the sense of if there's a physical attraction, then it will be in the background. However, I think over time those things can just turn into it's like, yeah, um, it's just not going anywhere. Not to say that there aren't people that slip into in and out of different modes and everything, but yeah, uh, like I said, this guy at the start, looking at him here, and he really looks like a kid there. He looks like his hair's all tousled.
Do you know how old he was?
How old was he?
40.
Wow, boy. Because easily, if you had asked me, I easily would have said, yeah, he's 20. You know, I mean, by the time the movie, is getting on, you can see, okay, yeah, that's a 40-year-old guy. But in that first opening scene, man, he looked like he was, I would have
Oh, he
said,
looked
yeah,
like he was in college.
yeah, yep, absolutely. He pulled that off. But but yeah, for me, this is a fun, and I do feel it's a very romantic uh movie for New Year's. I think I would highly recommend it for people to watch as a New Year's Eve movie. And anyone that is watching us now, if you haven't seen the movie and we haven't spoiled it for you, because we
You
are
can't really
spoiler.
spoil it. There's no plot.
No,
It's just
no.
watching these two develop.
Yes, and really, you're right. I don't think there is, other than the fact that we did say yes, they do get together in the end. But that's what people want when they see a rom-com.
And
This would
also,
have
it's
been
been out. It's been out for so long. If you do not know how that
yeah.
ends,
Well, and dude, to tell you that, yeah, it's almost like talking about the movie Psycho and saying there's a scene where someone gets killed in a shower. It's like that coming in. Because I mean, when the movie first came out, when Alfred Hitchcock they were telling everybody, don't talk about the plot of this movie. Don't give this away.
Well, I mean, there is a twist at the end, but it's not that someone gets killed.
Yeah, no, no. And the again, the shower scene is very much a huge part of it. And if you're gonna appreciate the movie, you have to go in understanding, yes, someone's gonna get killed in the shower, and there's so much more to the movie than that. Well, with this one, yeah, they get together in the end. And most rom-com movies, that's what people want to see. You talking about this and saying that they originally weren't going to have them get together
Yeah, they
would have
were
been
going to have them walk
horrible.
apart.
I wouldn't have picked this movie if that had happened. I would not have picked this movie. I would have sat there and gone, ah, I hate this movie.
I'm actually really curious what that would have looked like. And
Yeah,
I agree with you entirely. I think it would have been a horrible movie.
yeah, yeah,
You would see the end and you'd be like, why did I sit through this?
yeah. Well, that's the thing. You can't. To me, if a filmmaker takes you on a ride like this, and that's why certain movies, if there's no catharsis in the end, if there's nothing that like gives you some kind of satisfaction in the end, if someone takes you on a hard wild ride, and the movie Funny Games, where people are being basically tortured in a movie, and by the end of the movie they're getting away with it. And it's like I was so upset after watching that the first time. And that it's the same thing with something like a rom-com. If you watch this long relationship and you're waiting for it to happen, it's like let's get them together. And it's the same kind of thing with when you're watching Cheers or something where there's these characters that have a flirtation and they start to get together, but then they pull apart. They start, and yeah, people love the chase, and it is harder after you do finally get them together. You have to end it, and that's why like it works in a movie, but maybe not in a TV show as much. But for this to take you on that ride and then say, "Oh, they're just drifting apart," it's like I would have demanded my money back. It's like you can't do this to me.
I,
So
I I would like to point out
yes,
that there are some great cast members, but there are some cast members that aren't credited as much as they should be. One of them is the music.
oh, Harry Connick, yeah.
So this is Harry Connick Jr. This was his big break. The soundtrack to this movie was his first Grammy.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I can't say that I knew the name until this movie either.
And the soundtrack is very integral to a number of scenes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just wouldn't be the same. And secondly, the city of New York itself.
Oh my God, yeah. There's actually a scene, and now, I mean, I didn't even think about it, um, but there's actually a scene now, and I believe it's when she drops him off when they finally get to New York, and they both are kind of just feeling awkward about how they're going to part, and he's already made a move on her, and he's feeling awkward because wow, I made this move and she she rejected me and got mad, and she's like, I got to get this animal out of my car, and so it's right in front of I oh man, I can't think of the name of the the little arch there, but it's highlighted in the background is the World Trade Center. And that was such an iconic picture of New York, and especially it would have been for 1977. That building had just gone up, so if it had actually been set in 1977, it would have really highlighted it because King Kong was put out around that time too, and they used the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
So now
I'm
it's kind
bummed
of
I
like a
didn't grab
sad,
any more screenshots of New York from the movie because there
yeah.
was some great footage.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there absolutely was. And again, it's so New York. It's like a Woody Allen film is always homage to New York and to um to everything like little shots of a lot of times it's personal spots of Woody Allen that he loves and places that he knows and has visited over the years, and So it's always a love story to New York with Woody Allen, and this was very much that. Um, but yeah, I think it's a beautifully done film. I do love it. It's got its flaws, but it's all rom-coms do, in my opinion. You know, to me, they're not my favorite. It's not my forte. I there are some that I like better than others, but
I've determined that, again, for a rom-com to move me, for me to get that rom-com payoff personally,
right, yeah,
it has to be a bad movie. Like,
yeah.
like horror, sci-fi, things like that, mystery. I want a good movie. I want a great director, great film work.
Well,
For a rom-com, the dumber the movie,
yeah.
the more it's going to get me.
Well, listen. I'll tell you what. This is we're right at the end of 2024. So I'm putting this challenge out to you, Dom, today for 2025. You have the whole year to come up with one, but I want you maybe
Well, I
around
already
Valentine.
mentioned My Blue Heaven. I'm going to choose that soon.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, because I was gonna say I want you to come up with a rom-com that you really do like.
I've got some dumb ones in my pocket.
Okay,
I'm going to
all
bring
right.
out.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't have to be My Blue Heaven because I know that one. And I would agree with you. I like My Blue Heaven, but but
I think it's
come
called
up.
the proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, a young Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah, I've definitely seen the proposal. Offhand, I'd have to revisit.
and Betty
Uh,
White.
oh yeah, man, I love Betty White.
So yeah, I've got some dumb ones I can pull out.
All right. Well, that's the challenge. The challenge is in 2025, we want to see a Dom rom-com pick.
Gauntlet dropped. I got it.
All
Challenge
right.
accepted.
Okay, that sounds good. But yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed what you did watch with this one.
I
And
enjoyed it. It's just again, it's been talked up so much in
yeah,
my experience
yeah.
that nothing could have lived up to
All I can say as a long time, and I know you're a long time movie watcher, but as a long time movie watcher, film buff, whatever, one thing I have learned over the years, and that is, and I've done it myself, but don't let the build up ruin the movie for you because I have definitely done that where I went in watching a movie that I thought, oh, everyone's been talking about this. This is going to be really good, or the trailer looks fantastic, and you go in there and you're thinking this is going to be fantastic, and you sit there and you go, okay, well, I wish it was better than, but but I have found sometimes with a movie that happened uh, when I revisited it, I was able to enjoy it better because the hype can be too much sometimes.
Mhm.
So all I can say is don't let the hype don't let the hype ruin the movie for you.
But it's a
But
good, solid film. It's a great
yeah,
watch.
yeah, it is. It's well directed. It's very well written. Big
Well
shout
shot.
out, Nora Ephron. She really did a great job with that script, and so I give her full credit. The dialogue seemed real. It or as real as can be in a movie. And the other thing is, yeah, I mean, you can't help but the comparisons to Woody Allen. They're there.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I mean,
Oh, and you know who else you get to see in this movie is the president's son.
oh, Steve Ford. What?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
Steve Ford that played her
Yeah,
fiance.
played her boyfriend at the time. Yeah, I thought that was him when I rewatched this, and I because I remember seeing I'm old, so I remember seeing him when he was younger, and I thought it was, and I thought I had remembered hearing that he had played a part in that, and it went through my head. Oh yeah, but yeah, I wasn't sure. So yeah, you just confirmed it. So it was in fact Stephen Ford, but. Yeah, I mean he's very distinct looking in that scene, and that's another scene that I thought was hilarious because, and it really miffs the Meg Ryan as Sally. It really miffs her character he comes up and he's looking at the and she's thinking, oh God, he's recognizing me, and he's looking and he keeps looking over at them, and then he looks at the dude and he's like, hey, it's you, and so and he completely ignores her until they get on the plane, and by then she's like, wow, this this asshole, he didn't even remember who I was, and of course he did, but he was probably just trying to hide it while he was talking to the friend.
Hmm.
And as soon as they get on the plane, and that was another thing that was hilarious. He's talking over the seat, and the guy goes, "You want to change seats?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "No." But that's where their friendship actually really develops, and that's part of the fun part of the movie is uh, he kind of endears himself to her with the conversation when they are talking years later, because he has already grown a little bit, and and like I said, and even when she says, "Well, you said men and women couldn't be friends," and he's like, "No, I didn't say that." She's like, and then I think he says, "Yeah, maybe I did," or something. It's like, but yeah, like I said, I think the dialogue is great in this. It flows. It's really well done. So yeah,
Yeah, good. Clearly a two thumbs up.
yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm definitely giving it two thumbs up. And I'm kind of like you. I'm not a huge rom-com person. There are
Hmm.
ones I like, and this is one of them. So when they're done well, I'm going to give them full credit. My problem is, and I think women are maybe a little too easy on a rom-com because they love the genre. So there's bad ones out there, and the bad ones that I've seen, it's like, no, how can you say that's a great rom-com? But of course, it's
But
like,
again, it's like what I'm saying is that for me, the dumber the rom-com, the better, because you want it to be sappy. You don't want it to be real. You don't necessarily even need good acting. You just want to see this pure love.
yeah.
You want this fantasy.
Well, I want that, but I also and I yeah, I want a certain amount of sappiness, but at the same time, I love good dialogue. I really love good dialogue, and I also like good humor. I mean, the whole thing of rom-com, it's got to be romance and comedy. And there are certain movies um, that are really well done. There's one, and I believe it's Goodbye Columbus, um, and that was actually it doesn't have a happy ending. It's probably one of the ones. Maybe it's why like Rob Reiner was thinking. Maybe he was thinking of it in terms of that movie. But in that movie, they do go their separate ways at the end. And that was probably the most unsatisfying part of that movie. I love the movie. It's really well done. It's really well written. There's some good comedy in it. But it's sad. These two people that fell in love and have a relationship at the end of the movie. But hey, there's a few movies that end that way. And to me, it's the most unsatisfying adventure you can take somebody through. But well, like I said, I'm glad because you had not seen this one, right?
I have not seen that.
Good, good. So you got another one under your belt that you otherwise maybe wouldn't have seen, or but I kind of dragged you kicking and screaming into it, and I'm glad Lisa liked it too. So the only thing is, we saw it ahead of New Year's, but you guys can rewatch it again on New Year's. I give you guys permission to or actually, you both have to find one that you'll watch on New Year's Eve. So, or just enjoy New Year's Eve, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure we watch movies on New Year's Eve. So.
Yeah, it's the only. To tell you the truth, my New Year's Eve, talking about movies and stuff like that. In years past, my idea of a good New Year's Eve was to watch Marx Brothers movies
Hmm.
or movies that were, some kind of marathon of fun stuff. But I traditionally have not put on a rom-com on New Year's Eve. So, but anyway, Dom, I think we've probably said as much about this one as we. I
I
don't I don't
think
know
we've
how
covered
long
it.
we've taken this one, but hopefully it's longer than the one we did
It is.
last week, and hopefully, I did not notice any problems with. I think I'm back to my internet connection, and you're back to yours. So I think we did this one okay, without the freezing of last week.
This
But
seemed to go without a hitch.
yeah, so it's right before New Year's. When this comes out, should be right at, or well, it'll come out before New Year's for people, so it's going up tomorrow. Uh, so yeah, I wish everybody happy New Year. Hope everybody's got good luck and good blessings and fortune and for the new year. Anybody that's watching, thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you would. We always appreciate that. Dom is going to leave some links and check
You
those
know it.
out if you would. But Dom, I wish you and Lisa happy New Year, and hey, may 2025 be a very good blessed year for you. So,
Same to you.
all
And
right,
same to everyone watching. Happy
yes, happy New Year.
2025 when we see you again.
Yeah, yeah. So catch you guys next week, and next week is going to be Dom's pick. Well, before we wrap this
I,
up, do you
I'm I'm working on it.
okay,
I've got
all right.
a short list, but I haven't fully decided yet.
Yeah. All right, folks. So for New Year's, Dom is going to bring you the first pick of the new year. Happy New Year, everyone, and see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.